I'm now going to say something on the air which I've known for a little while, which I've held back because we didn't want to provide an excuse for the Minister Bill Shorten not to compensate all the victims. And I say this, and I'll make a statutory declaration in regard to this. I challenge Shorten in this regard. Initially, the recommendation of the Joint Parliamentary Committee in regard to the compensation of the victims of the trio capital crime was that all victims should be fully compensated. That was the recommendation from the committee. Under pressure from a minister's office, that recommendation was changed. I challenged Senator Thistlethwaite, who's a former official of the Australian Workers' Union, and I also challenge every one of those members of that committee to refute what I'm now saying. That rather than the Joint Parliamentary Committee coming forward and being allowed to make recommendations based on their objective assessment of the evidence, which was initially that everyone should be compensated, I make the allegation that the minister leant on that committee and got the recommendation changed. And as a result of that, the misery and the suffering and the losses of thousands of people was then created. The minister responsible for that is a national disgrace. He does not belong in public life. He's a rat. His name is Bill Shorten. If he ever becomes Prime Minister of this country, heaven help us, because he's ambitious enough to do it. His friends are the Pratt family, the billionaires, Visiboard, the company which ripped off every one of us and was convicted of fraudulent behaviour. Another ex-Liberal politician by the name of Julian Beale is a great mate of Bill Shorten's. He's backed by money. He doesn't care about the suffering of the Australian people. He cares nothing for the principles of fairness and equity. And he couldn't give a toss, obviously, for the fact that there are hundreds of people in this city who have been thrown into poverty through no fault of their own because of a crime. He's a liar. He told us that he'd get back to us in November. He didn't. He told us that he would cooperate in terms of helping people save their houses who are now faced with eviction. He didn't. We now can say openly and publicly that that committee's findings were not valid. They were not genuine, and they were not part of a proper process because the original recommendations were changed. I believe that members of that committee, parliamentarians, were so moved by the evidence of hardship that their initial recommendation was that everyone be compensated. The politics of this overcame it. Shorten is a shill for big superannuation funds. Big superannuation funds are failing to return to their members anything like the sort of returns that were promised to them. 1%, 2% if you're lucky. Hundreds of thousands of people are voting with their feet to set up self-managed funds. This is an attempt to try and intimidate and scare people out of self-managed funds back into big superannuation. And as such, it is a simple disgrace. For those people who may be listening who have had their money stolen, I'm really, really, really upset in regard to their plight. I can be quite honest about this. I would have walked away from this some time ago. It's taken over my life. I don't earn a lot of money. I earn virtually no money now. I virtually spend my time working to try and help these people get compensated. That's not because I'm a hero or anything like that, and far from it. But it is simply impossible to sit, and I've done this, and I challenge Shorten to do it. If he had a heart, if he had any sense of decency about him, any ticker, he would have done this. That is, to sit with people and just listen to what's happened. I did it for over 300 people.